Okay. All right. It is I. It is I. WJ. What I consider always a fun-filled to try to not only enlighten but try to back, give back through my successes. If that makes any sense, I don't know. Much talks about my recent uh, porn star escapade when I attended a small convention out in the valley. Well, days my experience ball hawking. Talk about that. As far as baseball, it sounds like something. So, um, well, let's start with the porn. Let's talk about what happened, why I went out, what it was, why I was there, what I wanted, what I was hoping to get, and what wound up. You know, I don't like the term fan, like adult entertainment, because it seems like for me, like a lot of the women stars, I grew up with, I go back to the VHS tapes, those times. And, you know, maybe it's just the time that I'm from. I like a lot of those women that I used to watch, the performance, the women, and everything from back then. And they just, I don't know, I was gonna say raunchy look, but they just there's like a trashy, and not in a good way. Like it's just like they got all these crazy tattoos. Their bodies are not very like, there was like a variety of these women in the 80s and the 90s. Like there was some type of like, I don't know how to, I'm trying to think like how to describe. There was something kind of for everybody. Now I know you could say the same thing today, but there's something about, the women, that the way that it was, I don't know. I just saw something. Now, even before my time, let me give you some name like Ushki Daigo, in the Russ Meyer movies and stuff like that. It's like, wow, just a really cool look, a lot of these women had. It was really, really, just like, I mean, just compared to what I've seen today, these new companies, the Bang Brothers or whatever the hell these guys are doing, Boot Cake, whatever. It's just nothing, like maybe it's the quality, the HD or something that's a little too much, maybe I don't know. It doesn't leave much of the imagination. It's just kind of like I like the way like some of these women would dress, like come out and it's like wow, look at her in that outfit. Wow, it's kind of a cool thing the way that things were done. So anyway, let me get to what happened. There used to be this guy that hosts this cable access show. It's called LA Nightlife. And I remember, in the 90s. Now, I used to go dancing at all these places on Sunset, the Roxbury, the Key Club, Dublin's, like places. And this guy, this James Bartlett guy, he kind of had a flamboyant, kind of gayish sort of, go out with a camera and he'd record all these women, talk to these women outside these clubs, and I mean in the clubs, and it's kind of just like the last time I saw like LA had a kind of a good nightlife. That was that time, and I was around. I was around. I was fortunate. Today, it's nothing like that at all. You got some high end clubs, guest list kind of things, and oh, a chai spice with a little special ingredient. Since we're talking about adult entertainment, you know, I think the social conditioning tells us kind of be ashamed. Don't talk about this kind of stuff. Keep it to yourself, kind of thing. It's a social conditioning thing, and they'll be embarrassed about it. People gonna know that's what kind of women you like. You like that. Yeah, you know what I do, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's not illegal. It's nothing. That's a problem in this life. Like you get criticized for everything that you like, and I mean it's kind of like, and I think that's bad because you know you hold back and you hold down, and it's like it's just it leaks into other areas of your life, and so it's important to kind of be open and honest about a lot of things. So look, I mean, now the thing is, a lot of those women, there's something kind of wrong with them because it takes a certain type of naked on camera and not worry about what other people think. And then they're marketed out there, and I mean, they say, well, the people that watch porn are like this. They go, look, man, store, and you know how many people would come in. I remember like it was a back row. They had all the adult film tapes in there, stuff like that, and people rent them. It's a normal thing. It's nothing to be ashamed of. But the thing is, our society kind of makes it that way, makes it kind of like embarrassed, make you kind of feel like embarrassed for watching, whatever. And that's back then. So I don't know. Today, maybe not so much because it's different. You can watch at home. You don't have to go to a video store, rent a movie. But I'm kind of proud I was around during those times. So anyway, back to the what happened. So I went to that guy that hosted the LA nightlife thing. His name is James Bartholet, and it turns out there's like a adult. There's a like a strip club. I think it's Deja Vu or something. I'm not. I think way out in the valley, it's like a Coldwater Canyon. And so he had like a thing. It's like, oh, it's a like some of the girls at the new Triple X started a fan expo thing for like 25 bucks, and like Christy Canyon was going to be there. And I said, wow, like I finally get to meet her. Like a big fan of her work. Like just retired like in the late '90s, I think in '99. But you know, I really, I don't say this about a lot of these people, but there's like a handful of them that really, to me, they kind of like they could tell like they're not really acting, but that's who they are. They're really good, bubbly personality. Like something that's like, wow, like well, this is probably a really cool person. I'll give you some names of some women that I've met that had this, like Kitten Natividad. She gained a lot of weight, but I ran into her at this dragonfly club, um, maybe a decade ago, and, and she's the same way in person, like really nice, like a really nice. Now in her prime, look her up, man. You want to see a woman with a good Latino with a fucking good body. This Kitten Natividad was like no fucking joke. It was very nice. Um, but you can't. That's decades ago. You gotta understand. Women, they're gonna gain weight, they lose their shape. This is the way it goes. There's no, you can't. It's like the human body. It just changes, and women especially, like they can blossom really quick, and then by the time like mid 30s, especially 40 years old, you can't. Even if they work out, the muscle kind of like it there it's just the way that the fat goes around the body, like the placing and stuff. it just doesn't, everything changes in the face. You get older, this is the way it is. You know, but a lot of those women, they have the wherewithal to say, hey, I'm going to use it while I got it. I'm going to make fucking money off this shit, like if I can. And, hey, good for them. To me, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. It does like a service kind of like, like it's a men fantasy thing because, you're fulfilling a need, a dream. Like, I like, visual to look at a woman like that, odds are you're never going to get something like that. But nevertheless, you can like fantasies of watching at least, like what it looks like. There's no, that's the way it is. Now, what wound up happening, these adult AVN awards or anything like that, and I don't like being in a line with all these people waiting for an autograph or to meet these people. I'm not your traditional fan. Like now I've been with a handful of these women privately. So, do them, put two and two together, if you know what I mean. Yeah, and I've always had to donate that. But the thing is, don't go to these shows trying to meet them. But I thought of something kind of interesting. I said, well, excuse me, this Christy Canyon, she's older than a little older than me. I said it'd be cool, like to try to get her to go out dancing or something. I think she's single. Like I remember I saw that guy running the studio, like he knows her. So and I heard him, she's kind of like by herself and friends and stuff. I said, well, maybe I could somehow earn a date. Maybe who knows? But that's me. Like I'm willing to try. I'm willing to try. Like I don't get frustrated or anything. Guys that willing to try. So I thought of like a fun game. I said, well, here's what I'll do is if the opportunity arises, like I'll ask her, I say, hey, you got a minute for kind of a fun game? And this place, there were just it wasn't busy at all. There was like maybe six or seven little tables set up, but it wasn't. It was a tiny. It wasn't the guy's studio kind of thing. They had these little rooms, but it was kind of a place that I could talk to her. There weren't that many people there. Nobody really waiting to meet her. So I said, okay, well, I thought it's kind of something cool. I'll take out this card or something, and I said, hey, like I'm gonna write down what's my number one non-sexual fantasy with you, and see if you can guess. Play like a telepathy game, something stupid. I came up with. And what I wrote down was, I wish I could take you out dancing. It's something innocent, kind of cool like that. Well, here's what wound up happening. I was like, there was this hallway, and she walked by me a couple of times, and she turned back, and I said, wow, it's something to kind of like, there was something I felt like I saw something in me. It was just me. She was turning toward my direction to see me, and I came off kind of cool. Like I wasn't desperate to run after her to meet her, or anything like that. So I thought I'm doing everything right. I told her, oh, I'll be over there to meet you in a second. And what happened was like, yeah, there was some guy talking to her for a long time, and I was standing there. Now she's sitting there with some other older woman. I thought it was Ginger Lynn, but it's not. Um, and immediately, like when I came up and introduced myself, I knew I was in trouble because it came off like, here you are, just a generic another guy, like a fan, like introducing yourself, kind of thing. It just did not come off authentically. I wanted to do the little game thing, which I asked her, and she goes, "Okay, sure." And as I took out my card and writing down like what I the dance idea, this other guy came in and started a conversation with her. I didn't get, which I usually do, and it just like completely, what happened was what blew everything was not only the way that work didn't really work out, but it was, well, it's finally, after getting wait a long time to meet Melissa, and the second I said her real name, she fucked, don't ever call me that. Like it was over at that point. I said, I'm sorry, it will never happen again. She kind of looked, she let it go, but like of possibly. So after that, I left. Like and this one talked to you a little earlier, kind of told him what my intentions were. I said, when I left, I said, if I didn't try, I never would have known. And that's it. It's not the end of the world or anything. But I'm one of those guys to stick my neck out there in life. And, you know, you can't, it's true, like the Neil Young, you can't always get what you want, but you try to get what you need. And it's so true. One, two, three, four, probably a handful. I have been with. So, it's okay. So that's my story about that. I was kind of upset when I left. I didn't think, I would get dusted kind of like that. But, you can't wait for something that is never really going to happen, and I know, look, you got to understand these kind of, they're false. I mean, they really are. Go like it's ridiculous kind of thing. I didn't say her last name. I said, because I am connected. Like I know some of these women personally, so I don't like I'm your generic kind of fan. So like she tried to clump me in that category of that, and I just didn't work organically. So that's that. Um, okay, the next thing, ball hawking. That's, if you don't know what that is, you can look up Zach Campbell. He he goes to the baseball games and tries to catch baseballs, like during batting practice and everything like that. And guy's got like thousands and thousands of baseballs. Mike Trout's that's quite a thing. Now I did. The thing is, he's a couple years younger than me, not much, but um, I basically did the same thing in when did I start really? Shit, was it late 80s? Maybe. But I really didn't kind of, you know, take it kind of serious till around, I think it was 96 when Eddie Murray was going for his 500th home run. Actually, it was at Anaheim Stadium. He was playing for the Orioles at the time, and he wound up hitting it the next day in Baltimore. I remember back at home. But the thing was, yeah, I remember there was like construction going on. You couldn't get to the outfield section anyway. I remember I walked all the way over. I tried to get as far into home run territory as possible, but it just wasn't happening. I got a couple stories like that. I got where I was in New York. I had 399. I think it was playing for Tampa Bay. They were playing the Mets or something. I forget what team. And I said to myself, I could get to like that dead center positioning just over the wall, behind the wall. I could have a shot at that ball if he hits it there. And I couldn't get in. There was something going on, some type of benefit. It was like a Sunday. There was some type of charity for post office workers. And they wanted like $250. I couldn't get in. And sure enough, that game, I was visiting my uncle in New York, and he hit that fucking ball at dead center. Now, I'd say if I would have been there, I would have got it, but because I think there's like area that doesn't, it's hard to tell, like, um, right behind the wall. If I could have, I could have been right there. But that's exactly where I would have positioned myself. So, it was a frustrating thing. That's a landmark. 400 is a big one. Uh, of course, not as big as 500 or any other record surpassing that. Um, then the Barry Bonds thing, the McGuire Sosa thing in '98. I was well aware of it, um, but again, I really, again, I'm in LA, so I wasn't running around, trying to catch home run baseballs from them. I don't remember. Yeah, I had a problem that year. '98, I was arrested, so I had a little difficult time, but had my limitations to how much I was willing to run around for this. You got to understand something. Three things have to happen. First, they have to happen. Number one, you you gotta be there. Number two, he has to hit it, and number three, he has to come right to you. Um, you got to understand something like that. The odds of all those three things coming together is quite extreme. Like that's the last one, of course, is the one that takes it over the top. You're asking for something that positioned perfect place at the perfect time. And again, I'm not sitting in a seat, so maybe that gives me an extra 10 feet of room on each side possible. It doesn't matter if that ball does not come right to you. The amount of time, by the time that ball goes over wherever it goes, if there's people there, they're going to snag it. So you're asking. Really, it's an incredibly lucky thing if it happens. Um, Many stories, yeah. So the Barry Bonds thing. I flew up to Frisco. I remember he had 599. Yeah, when he was going for the 500, that really pissed me off because I didn't go up to Frisco and went into the fucking cove. I knew I would have caught that fucking ball. I know it. I know it because I would have been standing early baseball. I did catch a ball, Dodger Stadium, doing batting practice. I know how fast it comes over. I was a professional baseball player. I had bounced in the fucking water. And there were times, that was number 500. So 600, I saw those kayaks out there. I didn't hit it that game anyway, and I left. It was just ridiculous. I flew up there for it. I thought I had a shot, at maybe getting that one. Then the record, and then that was really about it. I never pursued. There was really nothing else. I'm trying to think that was close because a lot of players wound up hitting 500. Ortiz, Manny Ramirez, that guy on what the fuck is his name? Triple Crown, Miguel Cabrera, getting 500. So this is an A-Rod and everything like that. I have A-Rod 650th, which I didn't catch. Bought it through eBay, and to me that was like a validation for I went through, the years, the standing there and everything, going up to Frisco. I mean, I had like, 5 batting practice balls one time, and for a game, and then a ground rule double during the game. Never a home run, but a ground rule double from a game. I mean, but again, you got to understand the time, the energy put in, standing around there for game after game, going at getting nothing, standing there, watching the game, just fucking standing there. And, I wanted something like of significance, of course. That's what Zach Campbell wants. He wants a fucking milestone. Everybody wants the fucking, like you say you got it, you don't have to sell it or, whatever. Now it's Aaron Judge is the big one. Everybody's watching. He just hit number 60. The AL record, but I said, who fucking cares? The record's 73 by Bonds. That's all that matters. And then Albert Pujols right now, 2 away, which leads me to my current. Now there's a 6-game. It's funny, like when you've done something and then, kind of everything comes full circle. Like if there's something, the opportunity arises again, I want to try to recapture that youth. You want to go for it if possible. So the Pujols thing kind of intrigued me. I said, looks like he's going to hit number 700 around this time. I looked at the schedule a couple months ago. It started intriguing me. 7 away with 40 games left. Then he was like away with like 20 games left. Then he was like three away. I mean, I think it was three away with 20 games left. There's like 15 games left. They're two away. There's, let me think, how many games left? Six, eight, and 12 games left, and he's two away. Now the thing was, there's a I was saying to myself, okay, like what I could do is the now if he hits two like in a game, well, I'm not going, this like, oh well, it's not. Look again, like I said, three things have to happen in the game or to vote to something. So I said to myself, well, he's got like 699, and he's in San Diego for, let's say, the homestand. There were two night games and there's one day game tomorrow. So, I was planning. I was saying, well, if you go for one game, I could go down that, and then there's three games at Dodger Stadium. It's sit there behind the wall for the three games here. It's not a big deal. So that's like four games there. So I said it's possible. I said it's not a bad thing. Number 700 is a very, very big deal. So that would be like the only. I go, okay, well, how many, what's how many games has he played? How many at bats? How many home runs has he hit so far? And okay, well, based on the average, what is this looking like? It comes out to about one every, it was about 40, lowered from 15 to 4. So he doesn't get, he's not going to get it. So, I said, okay, well, let's see how this opens up. The second he's got 699, if he would have hit 699 last night, I would have schlepped down to San Diego for the day. I said, oh, fuck it, why not? Go for it. It's not a big deal. You don't have to pay a hotel. Just go down there for the fucking day. So, and if he doesn't hit it, I said all the better. Like I don't care. Like it's because again, you got to understand something. Like I said, those three things all have to come together. You got to be there. You got to hit it, and it's got to give a shit about going to watch a baseball game. I'm not playing. It doesn't mean nothing to me. Um, that's the only reason I'm there. So at this point, the day game tomorrow, I'm not going. Of course, I'm watching this very carefully from afar, and if he winds up hitting tomorrow, then I'll be at the Dodger Stadium for the three games, or two. So, but I mean, the like mathematically figure out what the exact odds of. You got to understand how big the area is that you're covering. Um, some parks is vary because they got that big grassy area. I guess you can run on there if the ball lands there. But Dodger Stadium, no, there's no, right behind the wall. It's not really meant for, it's a walkway, but it's meant for you to go to your seats kind of thing. So, but you can actually be on the floor where the seats are above you. So ideally what you want is the ball just to go over clear the wall and to land like right near you, like on the ground will double, but it bounced on the warning track and went over the wall. But it's like it's a very difficult thing. Center field at Dodger Stadium, that it used to be where they put like the grounds crew in it,